All right, on to the race start. Just doing some openers here this morning. Absolutely gorgeous with this morning light. Ready to race. All right, welcome to the 2025 UCI World Series Hainan Gran Fondo. If you're not familiar, Hainan is this island south of China. It's like the Chinese Hawaii. And we started off in Wuchichan, which is the more mountainous area. There was like a neutralized 1K start, and I used a lot of energy at the beginning because we all got broken up in our release pen. So there's a lot of unnecessary energy at the beginning, unfortunately, but I felt like I needed to get back with the group for the start here because I didn't know exactly how quickly they were going to start us. And once we started, you did not want to lose contact with this peloton here. So we start pretty flat. We kind of follow this river here for quite some ways. And people are really working well and staying safe through here, so it's good to see that. We started kind of weaving back and forth as a couple of different people at the front tried to break away, and right here I kind of wanted to see what was going on at the front, so I decided to use some energy and speed up a little bit and kind of see what was going on, make sure I was in a position that if something went, I could respond. I didn't really know what to expect from these guys, and I'm racing in the age group of 35 to 39, so there's going to be a lot of big hitters in this age group. We've got two turns here at the beginning, and these guys kind of shoot up through the side here and cut the corner, even though we were all pointing that we were going to turn. And then as we come to this roundabout here, apparently some people didn't get the memo that we were going left. It was really good. The organizers actually took out, there was 2 or 4 speed bumps at the beginning here, and they took them out the day before because I was riding through there the day before for a recon, and there were speed bumps there, and they pulled them up overnight. It was pretty impressive. I was actually really impressed that they closed off all the roads that they did, and because we're going to end up going through small villages and stuff, and I was like, oh man, the villagers are probably just going to walk across the road, but that certainly wasn't the case. Now right here, we've got a couple of little kind of rollers that we end up going through, and I thought a group would go during these little tiny rollers, and in fact 2 people do get off of the front, and I'm kind of looking and waiting and why is no one really responding to those guys that got off the front? I guess we're all just gonna sit in, but I had it in my mind that was the place to be. Apparently someone had gotten into a crash. I don't think that was from today. I think that was from one of the other stages. This is a 3-stage race. I only did the 3rd stage, the Queen stage, this year, but I think I'll do all 3 next year. So taking in some energy here. We're 12K in, and we're coming up to pretty close to where things I expected to kick off. We've got a bit of a climb that we will be coming up to. And I'm still at this point getting a little frustrated that we haven't decided to bring back the 2 guys in the front, and everyone is kind of just taking it a bit easy. So I'm at the front of our peloton group at this moment, just following these guys' wheels because I thought maybe they're going to respond, but we get up past this little kicker and then they kind of just sit up, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to see if I can bridge the gap to those 2 guys. So let's talk about the equipment that I use for this race. I am riding the 7 Cycles custom titanium frame bike. It weighs about 9.5 to 10 kilos. Yeah, that's foreshadowing what's about to happen here in the race. But it's the bike that I have, and it's got me through this far. It's a little bit more of a all-rounder, do-it-all bike packing, gravel, road, not so much a hill climb bike. And I am running a SRAM Force ETAP, the 1st generation, Zip 303 tires, and the giant Gravia Course Zero 28 mil with tubes in there, not tubeless. No mess, no fuss. And so I put in a pretty big effort here, getting up to like 800 watts. And it was right about here as I approach the top of this little tiny, 7-8% little hill, little roller, and get over it that I realized those guys aren't there anymore. They're gone. They're so far in the front. Like, I think I can still see them a little bit, but they are so far ahead of me. So I kind of decided, all right, I'm just going to put in, just kind of a normal effort here, not do anything too crazy, and just see if I bring them back or if the group behind me catches me. Yeah, I'm starting to pass people from the age group ahead of me. So that'd be the men's elite, the under 35. They took off before us. So they're all in the A numbers. And so I'm starting to pass a couple of those. That's what you're seeing. You're not seeing me catch anyone from our group. I think there's only the 2 guys ahead. And right here, the peloton basically comes back to me. So I'm trying to find a place to kind of slot back in and try to recover a little bit, because I knew at that point that I'd messed up. I knew I didn't save the energy. And right now we're starting to hit the first climb. And it is a decent climb, but it doesn't go on super long. It's just really punchy. We're going to get up to maybe about 10% at one point. But as you can see, I'm holding 400. I think I spiked maybe to 500 once, but everyone behind me is now using their matches to go to, 800 watts. And I had already used that match. And if we look at intervals ICU, you'll actually see, I was anaerobic all throughout there. And my W prime, which is a measure of how much energy your battery basically above your FTP that you have. And I'm completely have depleted my W prime at this point, and we're only, 20K into the race, less than that, 18K. So it will recover, and I'm very good at steady efforts, which is the only saving grace that I had here. Was I'm good at steady efforts. So I'm going to sit in at a threshold, sub-threshold, and see if I can catch on to some of these guys' wheels. And I see this big guy come past me in my group, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I mean, this guy is over 6 feet tall. I'm going to get a great draft sitting on this guy's wheel. And I certainly did. My watts definitely came down, even though we were still going up. But yeah, then he kind of pulls off to the side. I said, oh, okay, I'll give him a little bit of a pull. I think I ended up pulling past him, and we come past the first water point here, refueling point. There's 2 of them in the course. Really nice that they had that, but I brought all of the water that I was going to need, plus the gels, which were going to be enough for me. So I ended up on my own for a little bit there, and then another group kind of caught back up to me, so I was happy to work with this group, and we started taking some good pulls and turns. But then the group got all weird. I was like, what's this guy doing over here? And apparently there's a motorbike in front of us, and everyone was doing weird things to take photos and stuff. So I was getting really frustrated with that, and the group completely fell apart once we hit another gradient, and I ended up off the front of the group again. So I was like, all right, well, that's not the group that I'm gonna be going with, apparently, because they're not gonna stick with me. And then this Italian guy comes past me, and he's from the age group behind me. So he started 4 or 5 minutes behind me, and he's caught up to me at 29 kilometers here at the top of this climb, and he passed me. And for some reason, I'm really good at downhill. I'm lighter than most people. I know my system weight, my bike is really heavy, but I end up passing them with ease. I don't know if it's just because I'm smaller and can get lower, or something to do with my aerodynamics. I have no idea, but I pass them quite easily on this downhill. And he comes by me and he goes, "Hey, let's work together." And I'm like, all right, man. Like, you caught me at like 30K. I'll try to work with you, but geez, you know, you're super strong. And yeah, he's powered away at this point. You know, anytime we had all these rollers, he's gone. So I'm on my own again. And that's going to be a theme of a lot of this race, is me on my own. I could not find a group to stick with because I lost contact with that front group. And we'll see kind of how that plays out here, but I put out a lot of power. So these two guys come rolling past me, one from the group behind, one from my group. And they're stronger on the uphill, but on the downhill, again, like, I'm taking better lines than them, and I don't need to use energy, and I can pass them on the downhills. But I figure maybe I can work with them a little bit. And we end up catching that Italian guy again. And so I'm like, okay, we got a little bit of a train going here. You know, we start taking some pulls and turns, and hey, this is looking pretty good. Finally able to find a group that I can maybe sit in with for a little bit. But it wasn't really meant to be. So I get to the front here, and I go and I take a pull. And so I was at least able to give them one pull here. But then we get another roller, and they just bomb away from me. Yeah, but then we hit this like 5% grade. I just give a shake of the head there. I'm just like, no. You know, they went off and were doing 500, 600 plus watts again. Just really punchy riders, and I just didn't have it in me to do that. I'm more of a steady state rider. But then we get to like this really long downhill section here, and it's gonna be kind of twisty and turny, but I had reconned the whole ride. I have a previous video on that with my wife, so I knew the roads, I knew where the hazards were. There were a couple of these where we had to go to one lane, and there wasn't really any tight turns in this race. You know, we've got concrete right now, but we're either on concrete or really well paved tarmac, so it really wasn't that bad. And you can see here, like, you know, they probably didn't know the route, so they're not taking the right fastest lines. And I've reconned the route and looked at it on Velo Viewer quite a bit, and watched the footage again like the night before the race. So I had most of these turns really like memorized. You know, there's only like one or two that were a little tricky, and I knew where those ones were. So I can take these like pretty fast and get pretty close to the corners without really having to worry whatsoever. And I end up dropping those guys again. This is one of the corners that when I did it on the recon ride, my heart skipped a beat because I took it way too fast. So I end up on my own again and come to this really flat section here, and I'm having to put out a lot of power on this flat section. I mean, I'm not a big rider.
Base of the final climb. I have to hope I can pick off enough people in my group that were ahead. I don't know how many ahead, but there was a lot.
There was enough ahead, and I knew I had to start ticking them off. So now we come to the final climb. So this final climb here is like 10 kilometers long, and most of the it's maybe like 800 meters. I forget the exact. I'll have to look at the segment, but it's a total of 1,350 meters of elevation gain, and a lot of it comes on this climb. But this climb isn't steady. There's a lot of these downhill points, and so I knew it wasn't really my climb. Yeah, there's a group behind me.
Big group gonna catch me here. Probably pass me too.
Alright, so let's take a second to talk about the kit that I chose to wear for this race. On the top, I am wearing the Lameda Men's Pro cycling jersey, and the reason I chose this one is for its breathability. I didn't know exactly what to expect from a Hainan, but I expected it to be warm and humid, and it really didn't disappoint. This jersey is very breathable. It has a Cool Max material in it. I used it in Beijing during like some like 40 degrees Celsius days riding. It was really, really, really breathable. So that's why I chose to wear this jersey. And for the bib, I decided to use the Lameda Gallop. This is one of my favorite bibs. It is very stretchy and fits very tight, so there's no like air gap or like material ruffling, which is good for aerodynamics. But also, it's really good for long, hard days in the saddle. The chamois is one of the best that I've tried, which is surprising to me because it's their own brand. It's not like a named brand chamois, and I absolutely love it. Lameda was kind enough to give us a discount code, which you guys can use to get 15% off your purchase if you're international. And with that, let's get back to the race. Yeah, so I look back and there's a pretty big group coming, and you'll notice a lot of familiar faces. So apparently if I had slowed down, I would have probably been better off because I would have been with like that bigger guy from earlier. It's just so hard sometimes to know like who's your group because I climb a lot faster than he was, but he's going to do a lot better on like the flats, especially if they're trading off in the front. He probably has a lot higher raw watt FTP than me. We have this other big guy in here from one or two groups ahead of us in pink there, Richard. What a legend. He's tapping everyone on the back and encouraging people, and just, everyone's suffering and he's still got a smile on his face and giving everyone encouragement. I mean, what an absolute legend. So I'm not trying to attack the group here. I just wanted to ride a little bit more steady at my pace, so I decided to pull in front and pull the group a little bit. And I was feeling pretty good, but I'm using a lot of energy when I'm pulling on the front there. Yeah, what a smooth move, take that gel out of his bib shorts like that. But this guy from earlier, he's like, I don't know if he's cramping or what he's doing, but he keeps pulling in front and then stopping and pulling in front and then stopping. So I take the front again and start pulling everyone.
Let him go. Let him go.
Yeah, Richard says, let him go.
Nice bike there, no? Oh, thanks. Super nice bike. Come on, show me the next bike. Come on, brother. I aspire to your level of fitness. Yeah,
so right here I'm starting to put in another dig again. I come to the front, and that's just because we weren't really keeping much of a consistent pace, and I like to climb at a very consistent pace. So I get back up to threshold in a second here, and I just start holding. Now right here. There we go.
nice guy, nice and steady. Good. Great stuff.
It's sub threshold.
Great stuff, Dan. There's so man behind you, we're grateful.
I give a little flick of the elbow, and I knew that was it. I can't hold a threshold anymore. And I start losing some contact here with the group.
I don't think I can catch him.
I give a little shake of the head. That was it. Like I'd start coming close to them again, but I just couldn't put the power out. I was getting to the point where I could only do maybe tempo, zone 2. Just all of a sudden I had no energy. But I finished in 2 hours and 41 minutes with a normalized power of 238 watts. You can see like I did regain quite a bit of my anaerobic. It didn't matter. You know, I was only able to use it very little bit.
Oh. Oh, I've never felt so empty on the climb. Oh. Really proud of how I did, being solo that long and just pushing every chance I could. Alright, I gotta lay down.
They ran out of these wind jackets, so I pulled an alpha leap and found some cardboard.
Hey, good job. It's finished.
I'm a good descender. Hey.
You're good?
Yeah.
She does have a good descender. Hey.
This is the first third.
And she finished 6th overall in her age group. A really strong finish. So I was quite happy with that effort. I was about 5 minutes off of where I needed to be in order to qualify for the 2026 World Championship Gran Fondo in Japan this year. But there's still one more chance for us to qualify for that in a race that we're going to be doing. And there'll be more on that in a future video. So the overall takeaways from this race that I had was try to find someone to actually like pull with and stay with some sort of a group. In the future, if I'm in this situation, I'm probably just going to have to slow down because I don't think I'm strong enough or have enough raw watts to bridge a gap to a group in front of me who's working together. They're going to have a lot more speed. You know, maybe if there's downhills I can catch, and that was my thinking in this race, was there's a lot of downhills. I know that I downhill well. Maybe I can catch a group if I get split up. But in the future, I think if I just slow down and or wait up during some of the flatter parts after those downhills, I can maybe save a little bit of energy. And that would have really changed the outcome on that final climb because I would have been a lot stronger. Next thing is, I think I need to lower my system weight. Yes, I had a few kilos that I could have still lost. I think I was racing at about 65, 66 kilos, which is 1 to 2 kilos heavier than my lightest of the season. But, you know, this was in December. I start putting weight on during the winter. Every year it happens. So, you know, you do what you can do. Maybe this year something will happen with the bike. We'll see. Stay tuned for that. I'm kind of hopeful that a few things are going to change bike-wise. So, anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next ride.